So welcome everybody to another episode of Pavan's Perspective, and we have two, not one today, but two amazing guest stars.
Hey.
Two of the power couple from Dallas, Cristina Roca and Carlos Roca. No, that's not George Clooney. That's actually Carlos Roca.
George Ballooney. His twin cousin.
So Carlos is one of the greatest real estate agents to ever walk the planet. Cristina is one of the greatest loan originators to ever walk the planet. And somehow they're walking around the planet, ran into each other, and got married.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yes. 20 years.
And
20 years
Yeah.
together.
20 years later. So how many kids do you guys have?
Four.
Let's start with the fun stuff. 4 kids. All right. You guys have been busy. And so with 4 kids, how do you find time to run your business?
You have to want it. You have to want it. I think the why is important, right? So, I mean, when you have so many kids, you just kind of let them fend for themselves at this point. I'm just kidding.
Kind of run amok.
No, yeah. So it's crazy around here, but we get it done. We get it done.
Yeah, we just get it done. It's not a problem. We figure it out.
You just figure it out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old are the kids?
Well, we touched every decade. Let's just say 19, 11, 8, and 5.
Oh,
We're due for a 5th one soon.
No.
I thought you were serious.
No.
No, we have our. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
That's great. So were you both of you born and raised in Dallas?
No, not at all.
We have a very interesting story, I guess you could say. We met in Las Vegas, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact. So we moved from Vegas about
10
11
years ago.
10,
Going on 11, yeah.
going on 11 years. But I grew up in Las Vegas, and he moved from
I'm a
California,
Dodgers guy.
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
from Los Angeles to Vegas, and that's
Yeah.
where we met.
Yeah.
He was in the car business.
I was a finance manager in the car dealership. She was a cashier. It was forbidden love. We both quit our job and moved on. And 20 years later, we're still here. Finance people are not supposed to date cashiers. I don't know what that is, but you assume the worst.
And we've been together
So then
since. Yeah.
So when did he make the switch from car dealership finance? And you went on the other side of the fence. Now you went into real estate sales.
Yeah. I did sales all my life, basically. And then 2008 recession took a toll on us. And the car business, I mean, it was overnight. The banks, they go from 1 minute saying, hey, come get some loans from us. And then the next minute they're like, oh, we messed up. And so there was no loan to be had. So the lot ended up being an empty lot with nothing but car salesmen on it, which is funny because we would have occasional one customer come in and they say, wow, you guys look like vultures. We're like, why, you want to buy a car? It was literally like that. So I left the car business, went to go work for a couple different companies. One of the guys from Storage Wars had a medical discount company, did that, insurance. And then I went into the collections business, and I became I guess a pretty good collector, getting money from people that owed money, and they decided to make me a manager. Then Cristina joined me at that company, and we have a problem. We can't stop working with each other. It's like I come home or she comes home and they're like, hey, we have a problem, and then either one of us just joins that business, Hunter.
Yeah.
And so she was like one of the top collectors. They offered me a position to come to Fort Worth or North Richland Hills to open up a call center. It came out here. In the process, I had a awakening, I guess you would say, a literal come to God meeting with God, and I became Christian. We all became Christian, and it was one of those things you can't collect from the little old lady anymore and feel free, conscious wise, and it really I felt convicted on it, and I prayed to God that get me out of this business. I don't want to collect money from poor people no more. And he opened the doors, got into real estate. no cost, totally covered by the broker. And that was 9 years ago, going on 9 years. And shortly after that, I had relationships with lenders, and it was one give and take a few times. I would take a lot, and the lender would give a lot. And so because of that relationship, I think I learned some stuff about fairness. And the lender kind of felt a certain way, like I'm putting all this money in and you're not doing as much as I should. And so we kind of parted ways. And I had lender after lender after lender of like bad experiences, like terrible experiences, just unprofessional. I'll take accountability for my part as well. Some mistakes were made. But it was to the point where Cristina had this little, like, she has that personality. And a friend of mine who was a lender had needed an assistant, and she got in it, man. She just like, she just ran with it. I'll let her tell that part. She just ran with it. And that was what, 6 years ago? 5 years ago. Yeah. So.
Yes, and so I went from being an assistant to wanting to do more, to be able to help the client, and went from being an assistant to joining a team. And then with that team, I stayed with them and we joined SunWest. And then once I stayed with SunWest, I think everything changed for me. And you guys made it so easy to want to succeed, right? And then also the want of wanting to help, the one of me to help him, but also help people. And so my mind shifted from, well, I'm an assistant, I'm not making much money, to how many people can we help? And you guys made that easy for us. So thank you for believing in me. You guys make it so easy for anyone who really wants it to try to make it in this business, honestly. Through the progression of me being with the company, Morgan, AngelAi, went from Morgan to AngelAi. Yeah. It's so good. Like now, I was going to tell you, the app on my phone is a breeze.
Fast.
I was like, yes, because I was having to, it's the growing pains and whatnot, but I'm patient because it's faster than when I used to work with, traditional underwriter. So so that's been a blessing for me, just being through the process of growing with the company. And then obviously, using the tools that you guys provide for us. So I think that if you want it and you learn the system, you embrace it. Nothing's perfect, right? Don't be patient and then work through it. You're going to be okay. So that's us in a nutshell.
I'll correct you. I'll correct you on one point. There's no you guys. It's all one big team.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
It's a great partnership. And I do remember when you joined us, it was 2019, I think it was?
Yeah, I believe so. Something around that. I don't remember. It's been like that because it's been so fun.
I remember the first conversation we had, and I was like, wow, there's the dynamite person. I mean, it's like I meet people all the time and people at different stages of their lives. And the ones who've you could feel the energy, right? And you can feel like, okay, you just know that this person is going to be massively successful. And it isn't because this person is a genius, or not that you're not a genius.
You're going to make me cry, but then you said that, I was like, oh. Yes.
It's because there's something about that person's mindset. And I think, and that is it naturally, like it flows out, and all of you watching this right now, and you can kind of feel it through the screen, but you don't really feel it until you actually meet the person. So that's why I strongly recommend that, go to, mindsets and top producer events, and just surround yourself with other people, whether it's in your office, whether it's in your, whatever it is, business that you're doing, surround yourself with the people that are getting stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Success isn't about how much money you make. Success is about whether you're getting stuff done. Whether you'll see people who clearly are on God's mission. Like they know what their mission is and they're doing it. And find those people and stay around them. Right? And that's success.
Yeah.
And you'll resonate. Like energy that people emanate has a natural resonance. And when you hang around with them, then that energy resonates with you. And you get lifted.
That's right.
So that's why I think that the two of you are so successful together, so that you guys resonate with each other.
Yeah, she's definitely inspiring me. I mean, she inspires me a lot. You know, in a lot of ways, you know, it's easy to look at this business like, you know, hey, let's make money, let's get all these things that we need, all this stuff that, right? But the things that she's done over the last couple of years that have you know, doing that extra touch with the clients, I think that just, I mean, even the realtors see it. I know as a realtor myself, just seeing the way she treats my clients goes a long way. You know, if you're in this business to make a lot of money and be the best and all that stuff, you know, that's great. That's a great mindset. But if you look at it more like, let's make this experience the best for my client, let's make it just an overall, you know, humbling experience, because it's stressful, right? I don't have gray hair because you know, this is something that happened literally in real estate. You know, it's a stressful job, it's a stressful business, but I think the one thing we forget the most is that it's very stressful on the client. It's very stressful on the client. You know, even to some folks, even to the last minute, they don't really believe they're going to get their house. You know,
Yeah.
And so one of the things that she does that really inspires me is how committed she is to these people. Literally, anytime you need to call me, and they do. And it's not, you know, it's a thing in the house that, because we run our business from our house, we go to the office, but it's more from the house, right? When we know that she's with a client or I'm with a client, our kids are already there. You know, they're ready, and so either one of us will have to corral them away if they're getting too rowdy. But just seeing the way she interacts with these people, the way she really cares, like she worries about it, I think that's going to be, you know, at least for us, that's going to be the difference between doing a lot of business or not doing a lot of business. And the benefits of being busy comes afterwards, right? It comes from the, like you said, from what you do, not, you know, how you look or how you sound.
Yes.
Exactly. I know there's a lot of people listening that also are working with their partners and are doing high stress businesses like real estate, finance, you know, whatever it is. What advice do you have to them for having a successful marriage when you're working with your partner?
That's good. Go.
Yes, I'd say put yourself in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I think throughout the process that we've been working together, we've gone through it all. I would have, I hope.
I think so.
We're in a team.
Yeah.
We're in a team. Nobody knows more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
We could all feed from each other, right? So like if, for example, there's a scenario that I have, like, you know what, like I've had agents, newer agents even, that don't know a certain thing that he's probably experienced. Be open to learning, because I think when we first started working together, it wasn't really like well, you don't know how this works, but, and I don't know how that works, right? But I would think that, I think egos get in the way sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just put that on the side. Put that to the side, because you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to save yourself stress, fights.
Yeah. Well,
And
because
you're gonna be
egos are a
successful.
big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could become a competition almost, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then seeing yourselves, praising yourselves, praising each other's accomplishments, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely, so listening to each other, you're not competing against each other, you're working together. Be open to that. You know, this is like the person that's going to be with you after your kids leave. So it just, I think that's where it comes from. Learning from that, just putting that wall down and just saying, okay, let's go all in together and let's do it.
Yeah, it's a stressful. It's you know, the situations we encounter, you know, are stressful. I can only speak as a realtor, right? You know, where you have the scenario, you know, fires just appear, you know, and it's easy as a realtor when you don't have a personal relationship with that lender, you know, to say, oh, the lender dropped the ball. And that's where you get those questions. Well, when did you find out about this? Or okay, so we didn't know this before we started showing houses. Those are comments of fear, honestly, because you're saying without saying it to the lender, I don't think you could get this to the closing table, and I think you messed up. And so those little questions come up, right? Because I know Cristina and I know how hard she works. It gave me a completely different perspective on the relationship between a realtor and a lender, which has, you know, obviously helped me with future relationships. Is it fair for my customers for me to have just one lender to go to everything? No, that's not fair. Just like it isn't fair for her to have just that one realtor that they're sending business to, right? So I think that was like the biggest thing that we overcame. You know, when she really started becoming really busy, and we were both in the middle of it, right? Is to understand that this is a career for her, it's a career for me, and that occasionally, God willing, it's going to intertwine, and we're going to have business together, and we're going to have to figure out how to maneuver through all that. Because I see her all day long, every day, all day. I know that she didn't drop the ball. You know, it's things that happen. So that helped me with my relationships with any other lenders, because now I understand. It's not that they're being, you know, they're hiding stuff or they dropped the ball. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But the perspective is now these things happen. Let's figure out a way to get through it.
Yeah, I think that's good advice in general. I see this is a mistake a lot of people make is they'll do a lot of people take a lot of effort in doing team building and building trust and camaraderie within the people that work for them or work in their team. But then when they're with a partner, right, with the third party, then they're completely opposite. But and that's when you forget that, wait a minute, they're still even though they're not working for you, they're still part of your team. Because from the customer's perspective, the customer sees only one team, which is you, the lender, the title company, the appraiser, right? The customer sees that as one team. They doesn't and any member of that team that doesn't perform, the whole team gets blamed.
Yeah.
Everybody gets blamed. So, you know, when something goes wrong, I think, you know, the advice I give, in fact, I'm reminding myself all the time, even, but I give this advice to my executives is never start with why. That puts the person on the defensive. I always start with, okay, here's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. There's a problem and there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity to shine and make money and be better than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think I think a lot of times, you know, vendors and partners, you know, cover up, you know, lie about something or whatever because they're so afraid. So afraid of that being called out. They're so afraid of looking bad. And if you can release that tension, you can start with, hey, we have a great opportunity to get something amazing done.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And release that tension and not now, you know, yeah, there's a problem, but there's an opportunity, and let's work together and figure this out. I think that changes the whole dynamics between the partners and the partnership. And I think that applies not only to people that work in your team, that work under you, it also applies to people that work laterally to you in your company. It applies to people above you, and especially it applies to third-party partners.
Yeah, you're right. Because a lot of times what happens is I mean, it's happened to us a lot, you know, where we see the problem and we're focused on the problem and the solution is actually really simple. But because we're focused on that big problem, it's kind of like a chaotic moment. And so you don't think about it. And then she'll make a comment, well, why don't you just do this? Or I'll make a comment, well, we could always do like the lease back or something. And then it was so simple, the solution, that we just needed somebody else who's not focused on the problem to figure out that solution. That's the part I love the most about our relationship in the business, right? Because we have a relationship in the business, you know, as lender and realtor. But the fact that she'll like, sometimes it's just a very simple nudge, to get us to the right direction, and vice versa. I think that's you said it around the money, you look at it kind of like you're looking down at the why more than you're looking at the, there's an opportunity. So that's a good point.
Yes. Yeah. Every time you ask the question why, you're putting the other person on the defensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's instead we're trying to win the game here, right? That means you got to be on the offense to win. So when you put anybody in your team on the defense,
Yeah.
you're losing.
Yeah. That's right.
And then another thing too that I think has helped too ease that stress when we do encounter situations. I used to call it. I used to be like, I have to let everybody know what's going on, but I didn't find a solution before calling. That's one thing I did learn, that I'm like, okay, find a solution first. So patience. Obviously, you don't want to keep everybody up if I can't figure it out tonight. Don't call them tonight. Wait, let them sleep over if time permits, and then find a solution before you call them. So that's another thing too that has helped me a lot. So worst case scenario, usually that doesn't happen now because I've learned to get these people fully pre-approved, true approvals, if possible, before I give out that approval letter.
Mm-hmm.
I sleep better. The seller sleeps better. Their
Sleep better.
family, everybody's happier and more at peace. But if something were to happen that we didn't, whatever may happen, it at least I have a solution or two to offer when I call them. That's been like, I'm not sitting there crying or like in the back scenes, like my life is falling apart. When you think a deal, because you know how there's a lot of families involved. So you don't want to seem like you dropped the ball. You don't want them to not get their keys. But that has been like a saving grace for me, for sure, to have a solution before I call them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for the newer agents, or the agents with less experience, right, their challenges is that they don't know how to come up with a solution. So my advice to them would be to, hey, be upfront about it.
Mm-hmm.
The mistake I see new agents make is they try to pretend like they know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
They try to pretend that they have this solution.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to say, I don't know.
Yes.
That's my favorite 3-letter words is I don't know. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
And you could just literally say, hey, I have this problem. I don't know how to solve it. Can you please help me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Go to AngelAi. I
Yeah,
tell
yes.
the agents that I'm, helping, and I'm like, hey, you're asking me this question, but I'm gonna ask AngelAi because I don't know. And I'm like, listen, this is what I would do. Go in there and tell them what you just told me, and they're gonna give you an answer. Because it's true, like every scenario is different.
She says that, but she always gets them the answer. I'll take care of it, and then she finds the
Well, I
answer.
mean, but then from there, they know that they can go to AngelAi and ask that
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
which is awesome, because then like that's where that part comes in, that if you want to do this and you join SunWest, you have AngelAi, you're going to have the answers sent, provided to you in minutes. So that's awesome that we have that. It's such a blessing for me and for all the people that I brought in. So yeah.
I think the cool thing about when you're learning a business, right, or you're learning how to do things, put yourself, and it's gonna sound weird to say it, but put yourself in the mindset of a child. Like you're a little, and that sounds weird, but this is how. Trust me. Like, put your mindset like a child that's learning for the first time. They're excited about learning. They're invested in it. They want to learn more. They don't want to stop learning. Just put yourself in the mindset of a child. Like, I'm gonna absorb this knowledge and get excited about it, and then start using it and practicing it. That goes a long way, because when you think about it, if you're teaching a third grade class, or mentoring a fourth grader or whatever the case may be, and they talk to you, they have this excitement about them, right? And you want to teach them, you want to help them learn whatever it is they're excited about. You can't go wrong. I mean, you literally cannot go wrong if you think about that. Trying to investigate, and what about this? What about that? Obviously, you need a patient person like Cristina, or somebody that's gonna actually walk you through it. But you're right. A lot of new agents, they have that fear of acceptance. You know, am I, oh, are they going to look me up? I know I did. Are they going to look me up and see that this is my first house being sold? Oh, what am I going to say? Get that out of your head. That's going to be your biggest enemy. Get that out of your head and focus on just absorbing every experience, everything you learn. Question, ask questions in the meetings. When I was an agent, brand new agent, the first 6 months, I went to so many classes, so many, events that the vendors would, sponsor. And at the end of it, my heart wasn't into that. My heart wasn't into like mingling. It was into like learning, right? And so I relied on the team that I was on, and those guys had 20, 30 years of experience. And I just literally acted, unfortunately, even to this day, even 9 years later, they still see me as a little kid. But, that's just the way it's going to be with them, unfortunately. But that's the mindset I had when I first started. Is kind of like that little excitement, little kid excitement, trying to learn everything you can. That's a lot more beneficial than if you're pretending to know what you're doing. At least that helped me.
And I think no, it's a matter how far advanced you get in your career or how old you get. Never lose that little kid excitement.
Yes.
That's a
It's
spice.
so exciting.
It'll get you up in the morning. It'll get you up in the morning for sure. Yeah.
So when you were a new realtor, how did you break in? How did you get your first deal?
Well, I was first 6 months I was an ISA, which is interesting. So I know that world pretty good because it's a lot of work, a lot of calls you got to make, a lot of emails you got to send. I think I was at one point 250 calls per day. Is what I was doing. And so that went for like the first 6 months, and it's already tough to get the customer in. Now I got them in for I'm an ISA, so I reeled them.
What's an ISA?
Oh, I'm sorry. In case nobody knows what an ISA is, it's internal sales agent, or it's kind of like your call center. Those people that do the calls for realtors, those are ISAs basically. They're trying to. Only difference is an ISA is a licensed realtor because they could talk about interest rates, they could talk about prices, look up houses. So that's what I did for 6 months, And again, it's already part of the job is reeling them in to have that first meeting, right? That conversation. How can I help you? At that point, I pass it over to another realtor. So I'd set the appointment. They'd come in, introduce them to the realtor. Then the realtor goes off and tries to sell my house. That's where the issue was with being an ISA. I could bring them in, but they weren't always deals. They weren't always going to like the realtor. I'm trying to choose who the best character is. I don't really know these people. And so I got frustrated after 6 months, and I said, I think I'm going to go out on my own. And I went out on my own, and I sank for like a month and a half, and I realized, man, this isn't working. It's humbling right now talking about it because I'm remembering how much God was in my life at that time, and he still is, but how he was working this out for me. He just made it happen where I left the team to go on my own. I'm doing open houses. I'm doing a bunch of stuff trying to get business. Finally got one customer who's kind of interested. I don't know what I'm doing. I felt like he knew that this was my first contract, and it just didn't work out. In that process, one of the team leaders from the team I was on, he just happened to be driving by, and he comes in into my open house and talks to me and says, "Come back as a realtor." I came back as a realtor, and to shorten this up for you, my daughter got me a client. My daughter told her friend at school, she was like fourth grade, right?
Yeah.
My dad sells houses, and my daughter's friend was like, "My mom wants to buy a house," and they became friends. They're lifelong friends. I sold her a house, and that was the first deal I did. Second deal was to my pastor at church, and it just went from there. Just keep getting referrals, doing open houses and things like that. And it's been a ride. It's a good ride.
It sounds like your daughter went after her mom.
You know what? She could easily jump in. She has a good head on her shoulders. So yeah, she does good. I told her, "Get me more. I expect like 7 a year from you." But she's got me a few more.
So she's what, 19 now? That's your
19,
oldest?
yeah. She just finished her school
Well,
mortgages.
she's doing she did her first year in college. I'm like, get into the business. She went to Champion School of Real Estate. She's trying to get her license to be a loan originator. She's going to take her test end of November. So
That's another part. That's another part that this lady wears so many hats. She has a recruiting hat. She has like 3 people lined up that are gonna get their license, and boom, boom, boom. So she's building. I don't know if she's building a team or, empire. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
yeah, I mean it's
Empress Cristina. That's got a nice name.
I like that.
I like it.
I already been calling her queen for years, so it'll work out.
Either Empress or Baroness.
Baroness. Oh, that sounds good.
Oh.
Baroness, and I could be Baron. I don't like that.
We'll go with Baroness and Lord.
Oh,
Lord Roca. Lord Carlos? No. Yeah.
oh my goodness, that's hilarious. No, but hopefully, I mean, she's really. I think she takes after me. I think she'll be a good addition to the team.
I think so too.
That's amazing. So, how about you, Christina? When you first got your NMLS license,
Oh man.
how hard
Oh
was it
my
to get
goodness!
your first?
When I left the team, because I was getting business. So the thing is that when I was in LOA or loan officer assistant, I wanted to learn, and the agent or the when I got into the business, the person that had me as a loan officer assistant didn't want me to get a license, didn't want me to learn. So it's more like I left after 6 months. When I met the team that I joined, they were all in for me to get my license. I actually had a friend that taught me a lot. She was like, Christina, you're talented. They were speaking life into me.
Yeah.
They believed in me.
Yeah.
They saw something that maybe at the time I didn't. And that's what keeps encouraging me. That's what you have done for me, as a matter of fact. And what you continue to do every day, by the way. So, I mean, and they did that. They spoke life into me, and I started believing in myself more than I did. Even though I wanted it, I felt like there was always like a pushback. Nobody wanted to talk to me about numbers, like real numbers. What does this mean? Where could I go? I know I can search up guidelines, but what can I do to better myself? So I just kept, searching, and like I said, my friends were teaching me, and they saw potential in me, and I got my license, and I'm like, I think I'm getting enough business. That friend went and did her own thing. So I was like, I'm running a pipeline of 50 loans for this team. Like it's a lot of work, and I know I can do more. It's not really like about the money, but sometimes like the loan officer needs to call the family, and they don't want to. So I feel like I'm limited to what they want to do. So I'm like, I'm taking the call. I can do this for you too. Not your client, obviously, right? But I'm like, I can do it for the clients that I'm bringing in already. So anyway, so when I left the team, I remember I was working so hard. Like I was just like, kept going, kept pushing. At that time, I think I was getting beat out by, builders and different banks, and it was just like dry for like the first 3 months. And I remember Jennifer calling me, and she's like, Christina, are you okay? I was like, Jennifer, I promise things are coming in. I promise I'm not stopping. She's like, oh, we see you work, because I was working. I was out there doing events. I was getting the word out there. I started opening up, because at that, there was a point where I was just promoting Carlos and his business partner at that time. I didn't feel like, and that's
Or one agent too,
another agent that I was kind of putting my eggs in one basket. But why? Right? Like I have to be fair. So anyway, I started expanding more into what I can share to who could I jive with, So I started doing more events, sponsoring things, and really being out there, and people getting to know me, and then just word of mouth. And next thing you know, like my business started exploding. I started getting all these people that were interested in working with me. I started sponsoring events, going out there and just really being true to what I want to do for people. It's not about, like I said, my mind shifted. It wasn't like, Christina, how much money, let's go ahead and double the money or whatever. It was more of like, I don't have time to count my commission. Let's work on getting more people into homes, because more people are hearing about, hey, Christina's deals don't have the stress of they're gonna fall through. Cristina actually she answers her calls.
Mm-hmm.
Christina's willing to sponsor events for you so that new agents can get their word, meet new people. So it just kind of rolled into that, and it's been awesome ever since. So, yeah.
Now I'm going to take you back to some bad memories.
Okay.
So you know, when the car dealership dried up, and when you made these career changes, um, I can imagine it was rough times, and income wasn't there, and you're struggling, and you got yeah. I don't know if you had kids back then or not,
I've always
but
had
still,
kids.
We had Mia.
Since I was 21.
yeah. So you have all this pressure, and the finances are not there. The economy is not there. How did you keep yourself together and get through that?
Well, unfortunately, I had already had the experience of 2008, when the recession had happened. And I was in a business that thrived on. I've always done commission sales. The only job I've never had that I got paid hourly was the call center for collections, which I dreaded. I hated, but I did that for 5 years. Um, Honestly, it was her. It was her just keeping me going. Being patient with me. Was it always easy? No, but it was. The times that I feel like you have to kind of go through that sometimes. I'm not saying that you have to have some bad success, but you do have to kind of, any business that you involve in. I always hear this phrase, blood, sweat, and tears, right? Literally, blood, sweat, and tears for this business. Like, yes, I remember there was a time where when I was first starting out, like I went from a salary job to like nothing, like salary job that I'd been for 5 years, and she wasn't working at that time. And God just said, "Yeah, I opened this door for you. Take it." And I took it. And she encouraged me to take it, and it was rough. Those first 6 months were really rough. Um, but there was time I needed gas, and I didn't have gas. I went to go donate plasma. I got my $50. I was like, let's go sell a house.
We
You
did
know,
whatever you have to do.
did whatever you have
Well,
to
not
do.
not whatever.
Well, not whatever, but like you do whatever you have to do to keep going,
Unapologetic.
and are you gonna have? I mean, even to this day, like, am I gonna have a dry spell? It could happen. I had a friend tell me if you go from feast to famine in this business, if you're not consistent and you're not putting in the work, and so yeah, there's been times where during COVID, during COVID the first year, I put my phone down, I'd get a call from random, like, this happened all the time. It was the best year, the best year I had in real estate for the history that I had been a realtor, because I think they were just sitting at home saying, I hate this house now. Let's go buy another one. Or they have extra money. Let's go buy a house. So I did really good. And then I got comfortable, and I wasn't making my calls, and I wasn't following up with my people. And so right after COVID kind of started slowing down, 2022, I think it was. Yeah, 2022, towards the end, like, I had nobody to call. I hadn't been making my calls. I hadn't been following up with people. The new business wasn't coming in. It's like 6 months of maybe one. I had like 2 deals in 6 months, and I was like, oh, you know what? Like, this can't happen again. We got to keep pushing. She fortunately, has been thriving the last few years. So we kind of count on each other, to go back and forth. But I think you have to go through some hard times sometimes to kind of have a self-awareness, and to have a wake-up call, and say, there's a lot more that I can do than what I'm doing right now. And everybody wants to tell you how to do your business, right? But what they don't tell you is how to fix your own personal obstacles that you put in your way. And overcoming those obstacles could either be a mountain, or it could be just a door that you got to push aside. It's just a matter of you waking up to what those issues are. When she has her events, when she has her meetings, when she has her realtor things that come up, I have to step up and do my part to be there for her. And then when I have my showings at 5 p.m. in the middle afternoon, or 3 p.m. in the middle afternoon, when I have showings to do, or I have to go fix something at a house or go look at something, she shows up for me. And it's really that team effort. I don't think if she wasn't in the business, would she still be supportive? I think she would have, been. But the fact that she is in the business, she completely understands what I'm doing, where I'm going, how I'm doing it, And so and vice versa. So we back each other up in that sense. So yeah, that's how we handle each other, I guess. We rely on each other. I have a long-winded way of answering things. So
So in Wall Street, we call that a perfect hedge.
That's funny.
And I know there's a lot of loan officers that listen to this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of new loan officers that are just starting up. And you talked earlier, Carlos, about how you went through different loan officers,
Yeah.
and you had loan officers that let you down, and there were times where you let the loan
Yeah.
officer down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about?
Yeah.
Let's reverse this. Let's talk about what should a loan officer expect from a realtor. What because I think one of the mistakes loan officers make is they want business and they'll partner with anybody.
Wrong people.
Yeah. And then they'll learn and they'll partner with a bad realtor and then learn a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
So what should a loan officer look for in a realtor?
Yeah. So I'll give you two different belief systems, right? Because I've literally have evolved into a new belief system since my wife joined the business, and I see her side of it. My perception as a realtor going into the business 9 years ago was from the team. Not that's not fair to say, but what was kind of said among realtors was, team up with a really good loan officer who's going to help you, support you, and is going to take the deals to the closing table. I said, great, yeah, let me find one. Found one that the team had. What the support part was, in that perspective, was they're going to pay for my leads. They're going to take me out to lunch. They're going to do this, that, this, and that. And they're also going to help my customers, when I give them a deal. That word right there at the end, when I give them a deal, is where I now realize that's the biggest mistake ever as a realtor. I am not giving anybody a deal, nor are they giving me a deal. Me and her are a team. We're going to work together for these customers. That's the perspective I have now, right? When you're an agent just starting off, you get a lot of advice from different people, and it's expensive. It's not cheap. My scenario, right? 6 months, I didn't really have an income. Now I'm trying to build this business. Where am I going to get the money? Well, I have a loan officer who wants me to send them business, and they're offering to give me, a certain amount of money to help with my ads or help with my CRM or my leads, right? Which is great, but it's a one-way thing, right? I had multiple occasions where this lender, it was a deal that we got through the lead system that he was helping me pay for. Show him the house, he knows about it, get him pre-approved. It even happened with Cristina a couple of times. Get them pre-approved. Everything's great. Yeah, we can do this. Now, finally, we're going to have a deal with me and this person helping this customer. And the customer says, I want to go look at this new build. And I take them to a new build. And all the work that lender had done, all the promises I had made, like, yeah, we're going to get this one. It's going to be great for us. Out the window because the customer wants a new build. And the new build offered them crazy incentives to go with them in their bank. Flat on my face. I have nothing to say to that guy. I'm sorry. They went with a new build. And that lender, it happens. I understand. But that lender is going to keep coughing up money to support my business. How many more times is this going to happen? And it happened a few times, and that was the mistake I made. I feel like it should be a team effort. If I'm going to go into a joint venture with another lender, and we're going to build something, let's build it. Let's not look at it like I'm using them to help with my CRM. And I'm going to give them a deal eventually, because the reality is that all those leads, let's say you get 5 really good quality leads, great leads that are ready to buy. And out of the 5, only one of them goes to a pre-owned and goes with that one lender, or the other 4 had their own lender and they want to work with their own lender and you can't switch them over. That lender is still paying for those leads that are going to go to the competition. So that's a perspective that's unfair, right? That's a use mentality, and that's where I feel like I dropped the ball. The lender side, a lot of times they kind of glance at the credit, they kind of glance at the situation. Yeah, I could get them approved for try 250 when in their head they're thinking I could probably do 300, but I'm going to play it safe. 250. go show them houses for 250, go on contract. Then next thing you know, they didn't qualify because they didn't have this particular stipulation or stub. They didn't have pay stubs. They didn't have time on their job. What I love about Cristina, and it's one of the things that I'm really proud of her for doing, is that before she goes out and sends you with that client to go look at a bunch of houses, she's doing all her work. She's doing everything to make sure that if she's going to put her name on it, it's going to be something that pays off, right? You're going to be able to get them a house. And I think a lot of lenders don't do that, right? They don't do that part, and they drop the ball in that sense, right? Because they're comfortable with their experience, they're comfortable with their knowledge, they're comfortable with everything. But at the end of the day, all that goes out the window if this customer lied. It's just, or not intentionally lied. I shouldn't say that. Wiggle the line of truth. Whatever the case may be.
I think perspective.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So one of the
Like,
things
if
that
you-
works out really good with me and her is like when we have a customer is I tell my clients, okay, when it comes down to getting a full approval, because you're not going to be fully approved until we find the house and Cristina gets to work for you guys and does everything. She's going to ask you questions. She's going to ask for stuff. I would say exaggerate the bad and underestimate the good. And they look at me like, okay. And I go, this is what I mean. If your car payment, she asks you, how much is your car payment? And you say it's $500. And she says, okay, great. Based off of this, this, and this, and your car payment included, this is what you qualify for. We go out and then come find out, she finds out that your car payment is actually $587. That's bad. So instead of saying your car payment is $500, say $600. Because when then she checks it and it's less, she has more money to work with. Same thing with your rent, same thing with this and that. What can you, if you've had, you've been at the company for 12 months, and the previous company another 12 months, there's a gap of a month and a half. You have to let her know. So it takes kind of like a coaching from the realtor, right? To let them know how serious this is. You have to be 100% honest. Don't wiggle the line of truth. And then at the same time, when the lender talks to them, you have to know what they want. You have to know what that lender wants. So in the perspective of a realtor, I have to be in sync with what any lender I use. I can't just randomly use a lender. Let me just find a lender to use. It has to be somebody that I feel knows exactly what they're doing. This one.
Christina, when you were starting off as a new loan officer,
Yes.
what are the biggest lessons you learned that you want to share with the loan originators watching
Yes.
this?
Be yourself. And sometimes you'll find agents like I think now I'm in the point where you don't always jive with the realtors. They don't have the same morals. They're not really thinking about the client. You will meet agents like that. I think just like agents pair up with a good lender. Pick someone that's going to do the right thing. Because things will not work out if you have agents that are trying to be they're going to try to max the clients, or hey, the client's not comfortable with this mortgage payment. Well, they qualify for this much, right? Yes. Okay, well, they're going to try to push them into getting this higher payment when my client has told me they don't feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I work for the borrower, for the client. I'm not going to suggest that the client maxes out their payment if they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So just meet with the right realtors. You're the person that's helping the client get to the closing table. Know your value in this transaction, because sometimes, yes, you will invest in people you believe in and you see something in them, but sometimes they don't see it in you, and it may not be reciprocal. Is that a word? It may not come back, and that's okay. That's okay. You dust off and you move on. And that's what I've learned too. Like, this business does take money you have to invest back into it, but don't see it that way. See it as, look, you're doing it for the right reason. Invest in this person because you believe in them. Invest in this. Hey, it's okay if it falls through. God seeing that your heart is pure, you're doing it with good intentions to help these people. God, I'm telling you, it's okay. It'll be okay. And so that's what I say, don't be afraid, be yourself. It's okay to not, sometimes you don't work with the agent you want to work with, or they're not, it may not work out. That's okay. Just always get up and lie to yourself if you don't feel like it. I trick myself too. Sometimes I'm not motivated, but I say to myself, pretend that you are. And I get up and I go.
Yeah.
And it's,
I've seen it.
so you just got to keep working hard, keep working hard.
Yeah.
That's one on a realtor aspect. Okay, so I'm not doing a cheap little pitch here. I'm saying I really mean this, right? The Angel AI is like, if you're a new realtor, like, that's just use that. Okay, that's an ISA. That's your marketing. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, I'm honestly a fan of it, not because she works for you and you're a nice guy and all that stuff. I'm a fan of it because it's like I know that that's a tool that I wish I would have had 9 years ago. Then I could have maybe never joined the team, just been on my own the whole time. It's very self sufficient. It'll help you with your business like tremendously. And like, if you break down all the things it does, it's taking care of all those issues. Like, how do I get new business? Oh, I gotta join find a lender who's willing to help me with my advertisement, my clicks, and then I get leads that way, and then I'll work the lead. No, Angel AI will get you a client. Go get a database. Go get some. I think one time I got like 86,000 leads, and when I trimmed it all down to get the quality meat, it was like it went down from 85,000 down to like
Work like
5,000 actual and people that we could call. That's okay. That didn't cost me that much money. But that's one of those things that, like, you don't have to be out on an island by yourself and feel like you need somebody to rescue you. You could get off that island with the tools you have around you. Just be those Tom Hanks castaway guys. He got off that island by himself. So that's kind of the benefit of Angel AI. If you look at the whole picture, everybody can take something out of it. If you're a celebrity, if you're Pavan, if you're Cristina, Carlos, we can all get something out of it, right? But you could use it specifically for your business. I had a inspector friend who he's like, yeah, I just need to find new business. I'm like, dude, let me introduce you to Angel AI. You can literally go and get a list of all the realtors from each brokerage, feed it to that system, and have them call the customers for you. I mean, you could, right?
Well,
Yeah, that's right.
Not inspections. But what I'm saying is, you could generate some sort of advertisement from that. If you connect me to it, we could probably do some of that.
Or me.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
Cristina.
Yeah.
yeah, it's in our roadmap where anybody in any business can use it the way realtors use it for lead prospecting. But if you have a client like an inspector or somebody or an appraiser that wants to do it
Co-branding.
for something other than for real estate or mortgages, just let Jennifer know. And right now it takes some manual work to make it happen. So just let her know and she'll make it happen.
Yeah, but it goes into a lot of specific features just for like a real estate agent.
Yes, exactly.
That you can use and you could kind of like play with to figure out a way to incorporate something like that. So it's not like a dead end. It's not what I'm saying, it's not like a dead end where like that's it. There's no further you can go. You can figure out another way to go around it.
Yeah. So it's not like your inspector friend, you can have him do it, but just let Jennifer know and she'll guide him through it. And
That's awesome.
And
So what you're saying is there's a chance.
not there's a chance. We do it all the time.
Wow.
See?
Okay.
It's not automated. It's manual.
Okay.
The setup is manual, right? So we don't want to do a lot of them because it takes, it's expensive from a human resource perspective. But for a key partner, would do it. And this is behind schedule. It should have been released already, where AngelAi can do it for anybody. So that's coming.
Yay. Well, that's what I always tell, when I introduce people to AngelAi, we use it to fund loans. Like, you trust me, Cristina, behind the scenes, it's AngelAi. Like, I tell my agents all the time, I'm like, you trust me, right? Like, yeah. Okay, so you tell people that I can close in 15 days, right? Yeah. Okay, that's because I have AngelAI. That's what we use. and you can use it too. And then that changes the perspective because we're a bank, you know? They're like, man, that's crazy. Now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. So then, then they start trying it and then they're like blown away because I'm like, you asked me a question at 10 p.m. and I'm at the gym or I'm not, able to come to my laptop or whatever. I go on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, ETA is 10 minutes. I'm texting them ETA is 10 minutes. And I'm like, hey, but if you create this account, you can do it too. I don't mind answering your calls, but this is something that you can use too. And I can say that I don't have that many text messages anymore now.
Yeah, when I figured out I could just ask AngelAi and not have to like keep asking Cristina because she's in the middle of like 3 different deals in mine. That saves a lot of time, saves a lot of effort. AngelAi, that's crazy. That should be the new slogan. I like that way she said that.
The other thing I found interesting what you said is about real estate agents that push the borrower beyond the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I've seen this my whole life in real estate. And I just never understood why realtors would do that because, you might make that commission that month or that time, but you lost a referral forever.
Yeah.
And not only did you lose a referral forever, that person is going to blame you.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a negative referral. He's going to tell everyone what a bad situation you put him in.
Rightly so.
Right? Yeah, and then it also falls on the loan officer.
Mm-hmm.
And not only does the loan officer get a bad referral, but then you're risking EPDs as well.
Yeah.
So it's just I think I was at a Bill Pipes coaching session, and the most important thing I thought he said that day, which I loved, and I say this all the time now, is he asks a room full of top producers. He says, "Why should you spend your time prospecting? Right? Why should you spend your time cold calling and prospecting?" There was various answers, in the room, like, so I can make more money, so I grow my business, blah blah blah. But the real reason, he said, no, the real reason is for freedom. Because when you are prospecting and you got leads coming in, you get to pick your clients.
Yes, that's good. Bill Pipes.
It's really good.
Right? You don't want your clients to pick you. You want to be in a position where you can pick your clients. You want to pick ethical, quality clients, people that you, as a realtor, you want to work with, people you really want to help, who respect your service. And as loan originators, you want to work with ethical realtors.
Yeah.
Right? So loan originators should be out there prospecting, right? Prospecting both realtors and borrowers. Right? That's the other thing I see loan officers make a mistake is they don't spend enough time prospecting for borrowers. There's no reason a loan officer can't prospect just like a realtor.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think every loan officer should sign up for coaching with somebody like Bill Pipes, and I strongly recommend Bill. He's amazing. He understands both sides of the business. So either sign up for coaching so you learn how to prospect for borrowers yourself, and you'll learn good prospecting skills in general. Okay, and prospect, and then now you have a flow of business coming in, your own business. And then you get to pick. Now you have freedom.
I love
You get
that.
to pick, right? You get to pick who is the right partner for you, and that's ultimately the best way. Now there could be realtors who are and clients who are perfectly honest, perfectly ethical, but they're just not the partner for you.
Yeah.
Right? They're just not your market, or they're just not. You just don't gel, right? And the best thing you could do in business is to say, you know what? I see what you need. I'm not the one to help you, but call up Carlos. He can help you.
Yes.
Right. And guess what? When you do that, you earn so much respect from that customer. And because you weren't hungry and chasing that commission, what they call commission bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commission bread.
Right? You weren't chasing that commission and you referred it over. That customer is going to remember you, and he's going to refer his friends to you.
Yeah.
He's going to say, hey, Cristina, that loan officer, she's not just a loan officer. She's a consultant. She's an advisor. She's someone on your side who's going to find the best solution.
Yeah.
That's how you build a long-term book of business.
Man, that's true. Because all my business is referral based. All his business is referral based right now.
Wow,
Well,
yeah.
besides the leads that we get through Angel.
Mhm.
But
even then, I had a referral from a lead.
yeah.
I got a referral from a lead. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Yeah.
You're doing something right.
Yeah. They were like, well, I already have a realtor. I was like, all right, cool. They referred them to me instead of the realtor. I was like, okay. I was like, nice.
Yes.
I was like, that worked out.
So one last training point, and you guys have been very generous with your time. One last training point for or coaching point. One last coaching point for our audience. And so you said you got 80,000 leads, and you get leads all the time, and you cold
Yeah.
leads.
Yeah.
You get cold lead databases, and you give it to Angel to prospect for you.
Mm-hmm.
So can you explain to the audience, how do you source those? What are some techniques for sourcing cold lists? And specifically, what do you do? What does that mean, putting it into Angel?
Yeah, so I had Luke help me with Rosenbaum help me with he introduced me to Red X. He said try Red X. I mean, I heard they're pretty as far as pricing is really good, and so I looked into it, and yeah, they could do a whole, like, basically all the leads that I want. Right, it's basically getting it out of the MLSs. Put it into a database, CRM, and then exporting that CRM into a CSV, right? They weren't all good, right? Missing phone numbers, missing address. Some of them were businesses. Some of them say do not call. So when I bought the service, it was like $70 or $80, something like that.
Oh, it's like it depends on how long, I think.
Yeah,
You get like 12 months, and then
No.
it's 200.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. Yeah, I think that sounds right.
$30 a month.
Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it's, but they have that. So I went with the for sale by owner. They have geo leads, which is you pick a specific area that you want to market and work, and they get all that information from tax, from MLS. Out of the 85,000, like I mentioned earlier, it went down to like actual almost 6,000 people that had good phone numbers, weren't on the do not call list, that were local area. Get that list along with a script and a voice memo.
Tell me about the script. Where did you get the script from?
Well, the script was really more tailored to me. So I looked at like 3 different scripts from different, I think one was like a Tom Ferry one, another one was a Red X one. And then I looked at all 3 of them, and I got the point, and I created my own. And so I just kind of pieced it together. And then I showed it to my friend Luke, and he said, "Yeah, this is good. I would just get this line out of there." He removed one line out of the. It didn't bother me. I didn't, but it was a good point, and I removed that line out of there, and very short and sweet. It's not like a long script. Same thing with the voice memo that I did. Very short. Basically, I think it was like, I understand that you were recently in the market, and unfortunately your house didn't sell. And by any chance, I'm very interested in your home. So if you're interested in still selling it, I'd love to. It was very short and sweet like that. It was like to the point. So those 3 items, and then I uploaded it to AngelAi very quickly. It took me like 2-3 minutes to upload everything that they asked for, which was those 3 items. And then created a campaign, run an errand, create a campaign, and then send that out. That first week, I did 2 campaigns to not overwhelm anybody. I think the first one was like 3,000 leads, and the other one was a little less than 3,000 leads. And the first week, not only did I get like the emails with leads, but I also got calls directly from the people that they had called. Hey, I just talked to so-and-so, and they said I really need to talk to you about my house. You want to buy it? And we're like, well, that's interesting you're saying, and then, start talking to them about it. What I found out is that what I found out and what really impressed me was the enthusiasm of that person that was calling those leads. Because one of them even said, I don't know, they were very evident about me calling you, and I need to speak to you. And, and I was like, oh, wow. I was in the middle of a showing when that happened. I literally had to stop. And I'm like, give me 1 second, guys. And I walked outside to talk to that person because, when they hype you up like that, you have to step up. You can't just like, let me call you back in 5 minutes. And I talked to that lady. Turned out to be she owns multiple properties, land, and she wanted to sell her land, like five out of the six that she had. I was like, oh god, that's a good deal. Unfortunately, my broker doesn't work with a certain amount of land, and so it couldn't work out. But that was the main thing that kind of just got me really excited about the campaign and how many different ways I could use it. Was the reaction that first couple weeks. And then I got busy, and you let things die down, and it slows down, right? Because if you're not watering the plant, it's not going to grow. And so that was that. But every month I want to say about 70,000 leads, and you got to trim them down and get the fat out of the way, and then you get to the meat. And so it's just a matter of just keeping up with it. I didn't do it last month, which that was terrible. But this month I have it going again, and I have a couple of campaigns I want to try different type of campaigns. But that's like an ISA right there that you don't have to pay for. You guys are offering it to me. I'm going to use it, And it's like one of those things where if you don't practice it and you don't do it, you're really just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So, okay, I'm remembering last month. I was like, I should have done it last month. But yeah, it's a good service. Like, give it a shot. I mean, you have nothing to lose. If you have a database already, so I was talking to my old broker of mine, and I was explaining to him what it is. This guy has like 36,000 previous customer database. And he always is trying to figure out ways to get in contact with them and send mailers. And he does the mailers, he does the pies at Thanksgiving, he does all that stuff. And I was explaining to him and a friend of mine over the phone, and he's like, "Oh wow, so I could just put my whole database in there, and I don't have to pay an ISA." Yeah, you could, and then just work it. So and so wants to remind you that he's here for you if you need anything, and that could be a simple, one touch to the client that you guys are doing for him instead of him paying somebody man hours to do it for you. Thank you for your generosity, by the way.
Yeah. There's two important things you said there. Is number one is you wrote your own script. You looked at other people's script and you wrote your own script. And that's, again, back to Bill Pipes, that's the number one thing he teaches. He says, yes, you can use ChatGPT to generate a script for you and stuff like that, or copy somebody's script. But if it doesn't have your own personality in it, it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And the problem with ChatGPT scripts is that generally anything ChatGPT generates, it's a lot of words, but it doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Usually it says a lot of words, but doesn't have a point.
Well, the thing about scripts, right? Because that's a big selling point for brokers, is that we do, and Tom Ferry's awesome. They're all great. They've been successful, right? You get something, but it's very custom tailored to that person's personality, and so it's not as effective if I use those same type of words and same type of way. But when I grab those three scripts, and I've done this before, when you grab those three scripts and you create your own, you have the format. You have the point. You have what you're trying to accomplish, and then you just have to figure out how I can make those scripts sound like me. Because if I call you Pavan, I'm like, "Hi Pavan, having a great day?" Fantastic. Well, I just wanted to reach out to I could do it, but it's not me, And so that's when I accomplished my goal of making her laugh. Yes.
Yeah.
Every day, once.
Yeah, exactly. And the second thing is Luke removing that sentence. I love how you said you weren't offended by it.
No.
You want to get involved with other smart people, other people who are successful in the business, and look at feedback. Right? And I agree with removing sentences from scripts, or just in any writing that comes across my desk and I'm editing it. I always, first question I ask myself, how do I make this shorter?
Yeah.
Because we live in the TikTok generations, people's attention span has gone down to seconds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get to the point in the first 10 words, you're going to lose. And we all get cold calls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst cold calls are the ones when someone calls and says, "Hi, this is so and so. How are you doing today?" Click
Click right away.
Right. It's why would you do that? It's just get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Say, this is so and so. I've got this, whatever. I got this great realtor named Carlos for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing some good stuff. And this lady was super excited. And I go, I don't know. She goes, I don't know. They just said I had to talk to you. I was like,
exactly.
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
yeah.
So that's the point. Like you get to the point in the first 10 words, and you leave a little mystery. Mystery is the spice of life, right?
Yeah.
You leave a little mystery. People want to know more. Like, okay, put it out there, leave a little mystery. Now people the imagination gets tickled. Right. And last thing, once again, Bill Pipes, he trained the team. We have, I think, 200 people in our call center in Puerto Rico.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so they're all bilingual, by the way. They all speak Spanish and English, fluent in both. And they were all trained by Bill Pipes, and he's the one who taught them how to get up in the morning and have that enthusiasm, how to deal with phone clicks, people hanging up on them all day long. But still, the next call they make, they're excited and motivated, and they just can't wait to do a hot transfer to you.
Well, tell them it's working. They're doing a great job. Keep it up. And, this is a plant, and it takes time for it to grow, and it's going to end up being pretty big. And they'll be able to say, hey, I started that, hey, I did that, so they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And then I think you both are coming to our Diwali party on the 9th.
Yes.
Yeah. In November in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you're going to meet most of them. They're all going to be there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope I don't sound like a stalker. I'd be like, yeah, you guys are doing great. Keep it up. They're like, can we just have a drink and relax? We have to talk about work.
Oh, they would love to get that feedback.
Oh, that's great.
It would motivate them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I mention that it's free?
So cool.
Yeah. Yes, it's and that's a good point. I mean, people ask why it's free, right? And it's like with anything else in life, if you don't, it's what you were saying earlier about the, about feeling guilty with that lender and feeling obligated, and then you're not doing the right thing for the customer. Right. So we don't want people to have that feeling. Right? So we want it out there. We want you to experience it. We wanted to experience everything that we can do for you. And then if it works out, we know the business will come automatically. We're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Right? And we're playing the game of long-term customer loyalty. And that's why we're here right now and having this conversation, is because you can't force someone to fall in love with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just be there, do the right thing, and it'll happen over time. Yes, and the problem is, like, a lot of people get hung up over the small 1% of people that will take advantage of you, right? But that's only 1%, if even 1%.
Yeah.
99% won't take advantage of you, and will work with you, will want to reciprocate, or at the very least, will wish you well. And blessings are more valuable than money.
Yes.
I'm old enough now to have learned that lesson.
Yes.
I'll take somebody's positive blessings over money all day long.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Goes a
I'm
long
rich in
way.
that sense. Many blessings.
So that's kind of the full circle, and again, talking about blessings, and that's one of the reasons we changed the name to AngelAi, because she's an angel.
Aww. I love it. That's so sweet. I tell my clients, they ask me that too, and I'm like, well, the reason why we're doing this, we're so confident you're going to, you basically want to earn your business. I want to help you grow your business and see it's not all about, and I explained that to them too. Like, it's a two-way. I want to make sure that even if you don't work with me, you have AngelAi, because eventually we're going to end up earning your business. And then you're going to be hopefully grateful that I introduced you, and you're going to come back to me as your loan officer, because some people do have their preferred loan officers, right? And so I tell them that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the long run.
Yeah, and you could tell when you're around people that care about people, and if you feed off of it. You get a lot of that in the mindset that we go to with you guys. Everybody there kind of just wants to help everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter what you have going on. Everybody's there just to kind of share knowledge and information. And I think that kind of inspires a lot of people to carry that on into their field. Because I know after I've left a couple of those mindsets, I'm like, who can help? And so that kind of encourages you to do that stuff. But yeah, let's look at the big picture. Life is you never know what's coming up next. So just make sure that you have the right positive mindset to be able to tackle the next challenge and the next success.
That's right. You never know. And you know, and for the realtors who do have that preferred loan officer, right? But my advice to them, and I'm sure Cristina, you probably do the same thing, is that you tell them, hey, tell your preferred loan officer. It'll make your preferred loan officer that much better.
Oh yes, that would be good
That's good
too.
advice.
That would be
Yeah.
good.
Right. And a lot of loan officers are working with brokers, and it's just in SunWest has multiple channels, and you know, hopefully we'll win the business over through that channel.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It all comes back.
Amen. That's so true.
Right. And everybody makes money because then Cristina makes money on helping us get another wholesale account.
Yay! I'm like, yay!
Right.
Yes.
So one way or the other, as long as it, you know, it and if you think long term in the long game, right? Just like a realtor, if you think what is valuable to that borrower, right? You may sacrifice a big commission today to get the borrower in the house that he can afford. That's the right size for that borrower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And because then that borrower's in that house for the rest of his life, you're going to get the referrals from that borrower the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same thing. If I help that realtor up his career, right, that affects him the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And that realtor's going to remember us the rest of his life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
It's a long-term game and long-term relationships to build.
Yeah.
Yeah, because time flies in this career.
I used to have black hair. Not anymore.
They have treatments to fix that, by the way.
She doesn't let me.
I love it. I love
She
it.
says no. I'm like, what if we darken it up a little? She's like, no.
I'm like,
All right.
no. I love it. Plus, he looks like George Clooney. So
No. I'm gonna start carrying a picture of George Clooney just so people can see I don't look like
you
George
look
Clooney.
like him.
Okay. You're gonna edit this out, right? Please.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's pretty funny.
George Clooney's gonna be all mad watching one of your videos.
I think
So
it's
George Clooney,
searched.
he'll be like, I'm so lucky I look like Carlos.
I've searched like outfits that George Clooney wears so that he can wear them.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
That's hilarious. So now I know what you're going to be for Halloween.
So much makes sense. Oh, for Halloween? We don't celebrate Halloween, but
No, I mean,
Yeah.
but you know,
I can pretend to be George Clooney the day before.
Yeah.
I guess it's not scary.
Yeah.
It's not scary.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny. Watch Pavan with our Halloween picture with you, George Clooney.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. And I used to like George Clooney as an actor. I thought he was great. And now I get that George Clooney comment, and I don't think
All the time.
all the time, and I don't like the guy. I wish he wasn't compared. And I still like his movies. That's just
Well, he's,
all right.
like, if people didn't realize the actor, he's just an entertainer.
Just an entertainer, yeah.
He's good at what he does.
Well, everybody, right? Everybody, we're all just people trying to figure out where we're gonna go next. And that's it. You know, that was my George Clooney impersonation.
I'd go if I go to an actor for advice. I want acting advice. Right? I don't go to him for real estate advice. Right? If I want to learn how to be an actor, I'll go to George Clooney.
Yeah, yeah.
If I want to learn about
So you-
whatever is something else,
Yeah.
then why would I listen to an actor for other parts of it?
I don't know. Sometimes you're online and you're like, oh, that Matthew McConaughey sure does have some good life advice. and then just start listening to him, you know? And then you
Right,
realize
so I don't-
he's a good actor.
People get carried away. Like they assume that the actor or the performer is the person that they see on stage. It's not. It's two different people.
He just want to live their normal life. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Not. Except for Jack Black. I think Jack Black is that way all the time. I think he doesn't stop.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. All right, guys. This has been a great conversation. Wonderful podcast. You guys are incredible.
Thank you.
The power couple from Dallas.
Hey.
Hey.
We're excited to see you guys and enjoy some time in Puerto Rico.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see you in November. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.